Police body cam footage. What they saw in the woods near Birmingham? I have never seen anything like this before. There are many videos about creepy forests, but this is different. It comes from the police body cam footage of two cops who went into these woods near Birmingham to investigate some screams, and only one of them ever came out. Here's the real story behind this haunting body cam footage. In early 2024, two West Midlands officers responded to a 911 call from a local resident who reported hearing screaming in the woods outside of Birmingham. They entered the forest wearing standard issue body cam. The footage was leaked online, although exactly how it was leaked has never been explained. Here's the footage with a timestamp that reads 23:04, the 3rd of February 24. Two officers laughing, joking as they walk down a path into the misty forest. The audio is slightly distorted, but we can hear the wind blowing through the trees. Then they hear something in the distance. At first, it's just a faint scream, but as the officers get closer, it becomes louder. It's definitely a female voice, but the words aren't understandable. The wind picks up again and the sound of the screaming abruptly stops. As the officers continue walking, their radios start to act up, probably because of how deep in the forest they've gotten. The first radio disruption hits, and Officer 1 asks for backup. He says, "Yeah, we're just walking up here at the moment." "Yeah, I know. Nothing's showing on the system." Yeah, that's what we thought, so we just come up here to see if there's any sign of anybody." "Yeah, all good up here, mate. Just a bit of a strange one." "Yeah, you see the light in the trees." As they walk deeper into the woods, the officers find some old tire tracks, but they don't lead to anything. Then they stop when they see some rocks in the middle of the road. They walk around the rocks and continue walking. Then the camera of Officer 1 glitches. The screen goes white, and the audio is filled with static. On the screen, we can see some distorted shapes moving past the camera, but it's too distorted to make out any details. At this point, the second officer's body cam cuts out. We only have eyes on Officer 1 as he walks deeper into the woods. The camera still glitching, his voice distorted by the static coming from the radio. Then something appears in front of him. It's hard to make out what it is because of the camera quality. It moves fast. It looks tall and humanoid, but it's not quite right. There's another flash of movement, and that's it. The screaming in the woods has stopped. Now, there is only silence. Then the two officers turn around to leave. As they do, they tell each other that they couldn't see anything. They continue walking until they reach the same spot where they found the tire tracks. When they reach the fork in the road, they turn to the left and start walking away from the screaming. That same eerie silence following them. After a minute or so, they hear some rustling in the trees to their right, but they don't seem to react to it. About a minute later, the screen of Officer 1's body cam glitches out again. Static fills the audio and the screen is filled with black and white polka dots. Then suddenly everything returns to normal. The screen clears, and the static in the audio disappears. The two officers continue walking out of the woods and their body cams recording. But now, the footage is a little creepy. When you watch it again, it almost looks like the trees move. It's subtle, but the branches and leaves of the trees look like they shift positions. After about 3 minutes of walking, they arrive at a clearing. The body cam footage ends here, so we never see what's beyond the clearing. According to reports, the officers didn't find anyone when they got to the clearing, so they called off the search and returned to their station. The case was closed with no suspect having ever been identified. No one knows what those officers saw or heard that night. Since the footage was leaked online, it has been heavily analyzed by paranormal investigators and skeptics alike. Many of the people who have analyzed the footage claim to have spotted something strange during the investigation. A lot of them say that when you play the footage back, you can see the trees moving. Others say that they can hear whispering in the background. Some people even believe that they see the tall, thin creature moving between the trees. There are a lot of theories surrounding this video. Some people think that the creature seen in the woods is a type of humanoid that preys on humans, while others believe that it could be an alien or some sort of interdimensional being. There are even people who say that the whole thing is fake, that the video was staged by the police or by someone else who wanted to hoax the world. Personally, I think the truth is somewhere in between. I don't think that the video is fake, but I also don't think that aliens or humanoids were involved. To me, it looks more like a case of misidentification, or maybe some sort of trick of the light. When the footage was originally released, the police said that the two officers hadn't seen anything suspicious, and that they had probably just misidentified whatever it was that they saw. Of course, there is no way to know for sure what those officers saw that night. The woods are dark, and the trees are tall and thick. It's easy to see how they could have misidentified something. Police body cam footage. What they saw in the woods near Birmingham? Today, let's look at some police body cam footage from 2018. It comes from West Midlands. Policing was released via a Freedom of Information request. 3 officers are walking through the woods near Birmingham. You can see that they are walking in circles by passing the same burnt tree 3 times. The burnt tree is something that might have attracted them to this area in the first place. But as they walk, one of the officers says, "We're not alone out here." Whether he's referring to other hikers or something more sinister, we don't know. Then you hear a loud screech in the background, and that's when things start to get very strange indeed. As the screeching continues, Officer 2's cam suddenly drops to the ground, but the recording continues. You can see their feet as they move away from the camera, and then something dark seems to crawl into view. The footage glitches violently before cutting out entirely. When it cuts back, you can see that the camera has fallen over onto its side. Both officers can be seen standing over something in the foliage. Their faces are pale and they both seem very shaken up. Officer 1 breathes heavily and cries quietly. After what seems like an eternity, he says, "It took him. He's gone." He then runs off screen. A minute later, the second officer follows. Their body cams remain on and continue to record audio. As they run, you can hear heavy breathing and then the sound of rushing water. Then there's a splash as if someone jumped into a river. Soon after, the audio picks up the sound of sirens. Then everything goes quiet. When the footage is reviewed, it's noted that the trees behind the officers have all been stripped of bark. This looks almost unnatural and like something from a horror movie. That would be creepy enough. But then the last frame of the video is even more disturbing. The video cuts back to the footage from earlier when the officers were walking through the woods. For a brief moment, the camera focuses on the face of the officer who said, "We're not alone out here." When you look closely at his face, you can see that he doesn't have his own eyes. Instead, someone else's eyes have been pasted over his own. This is truly terrifying. And just as we're about to figure out exactly what the hell is going on, the video ends. We then get a soft whisper saying, "Don't send anyone else." The footage was never supposed to be released. And since it was, the department has tried to cover up the truth. They said the 3 officers resigned from the force after being investigated for gross misconduct. However, a source within the force said that they were fired. Apparently, the department didn't want to admit how bad this situation had become. That's why this video ended up being leaked. The question is, what exactly did these officers see? There's so much about this video that's scary. First of all, the trees with no bark. This suggests that whatever happened to the officers, it wasn't a normal occurrence. If it was, why would the trees need to shed their bark? There's also the fact that the footage from the cameras was never supposed to be released. Someone deliberately leaked it. Why would someone do this? Maybe they wanted to expose what really happened. After all, the police had covered it up and tried to hide it from the public. Then there's the strange behavior of the officers themselves. First of all, they were walking in circles and kept passing the same tree. Was this because they were lost or confused, or because they couldn't bring themselves to go past the tree? Whatever the reason, it's odd behavior for trained police officers. Then there's the fact that they left their post without telling anyone where they were going. Even though they were in uniform and should have had backup, they went into the woods and disappeared. Whatever they saw in those woods must have been truly terrifying to cause such a reaction. So what could it have been? There are many strange creatures that live in the forests around us, but most are shy and keep away from humans. Could it have been a wild animal? Maybe. But if so, why did it take one of the officers? And why did it seem to wait until the second camera was dropped to the ground before making its move? Perhaps it was some kind of trickster spirit or something demonic? The woods are an ancient place, and spirits often dwell in places like this. Maybe it lured the officers in with the sound of that screech. That would explain why they became disoriented, and why they started walking in circles. But it wouldn't explain what happened next. We may never know exactly what happened to those officers in the woods, but their story has become a local legend. People still talk about it today, and there are many theories about what happened. Some say it was a wild animal, while others believe it was something more sinister. Perhaps it's best not to go into the woods alone, especially if you hear a strange screeching sound. Now listen closely to this. 911 call. Caller, I just witnessed something really freaky. I was driving down the road when I saw 2 guys dressed in fatigues carrying a girl. She was kneeling like she was praying and her hands were tied behind her back. Then, they put her in the back of a cop car and drove off. Operator, stay on the line, sir. I'm sending someone to your location right now. Caller, okay, but please hurry. These guys weren't cops. I'm sure of it. They had masks on their faces and one of them had a big gash across his cheek like a burn. It was horrible. Hey there, thanks for watching. Remember to come back soon for another awesome video.